I was still dripping when the music stopped. Water slid down my spine in cold lines, clinging to the lace of the dress I'd bought with my own money. My father's shove still echoed in my muscles, a dull, familiar ache. And their laughter, God, their laughter carved through the room sharper than the edges of the fountain I'd climbed out of. I stood on the marble tiles, pond lilies tangled around my ankles, mascara bleeding like war paint. The guests whispered, my sister smirked behind her veil, and my father, red-faced, proud, barked out. She couldn't even find a dare. Pathetic. The claps came next, a standing ovation for humiliation. I lifted my chin, tasted chlorine and blood, and smiled like I had been waiting for this moment. Remember this? I said softly. Every second of it. They thought I was bluffing. 20 minutes later, when the doors burst open and my secret billionaire husband walked in, their faces collapsed in slow, delicious ruin. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I met Daniel 3 years ago in a bookstore my family didn't know I worked in. He was quiet, self-contained, the kind of man who noticed small things, like how I traced titles with my fingertips before choosing one. We didn't fall in love in a cinematic rush. It was smaller, softer. I told him once that my family treated me like a placeholder in their lives. He didn't say anything then, simply brushed my hand with his thumb, like he was giving me permission to take up space. For the first time, I felt seen. Maybe that's why the betrayal, when it came, didn't arrive through him. It came through the people who claimed they loved me the longest. It started with my mother's voice drifting through the hallway one night. She thinks he's just some office worker, she whispered, as if someone like him would ever stay with her. My sister laughed. She's delusional. Once he finds out what she's really like, needy, awkward, he'll drop her. We won't even need to interfere. Interfere. A word that tasted like rust. The next day, I noticed Daniel's sudden distance. He hesitated before touching me, checked his phone more, asked if my family liked him, a question with an answer too complicated to unpack. Something was off. I didn't accuse. I didn't panic. I simply observed. And I found the message. Anonymous, sent to him from a number I recognized as my sister's burner account. She's using you. She said you're boring and easy to manipulate. A lie crafted with surgical precision. When I confronted my family, they looked at me as if I had betrayed them by daring to question their sabotage. You need to be realistic, my mother snapped. Men like him don't choose women like you. The room tilted. Not because of the cruelty, that was routine, but because I saw something I'd never seen before. Fear. They were afraid of losing control of me. That was the moment the shift happened. The moment I decided I would stop defending myself and start defending my future. I didn't tell Daniel what I knew. Not yet. I just watched, waited, collected receipts. My family wanted me small. I became silent instead. Silence is more dangerous. I researched. I prepared. I created tiny, invisible traps, the kind that appear benign until the whole floor collapses. And then I married him. Quietly, legally, without a dress, without witnesses, without permission. My family didn't deserve to know. Daniel didn't know he was a pawn in their game, only that he loved me. And I let him, because he loved me honestly, without needing to dim my light for his comfort. They tried to sabotage us after the wedding too, but by then, it was too late. His lawyers caught every fake complaint, every rumor whispered to his board. He learned the truth piece by piece, until his calmness sharpened into something colder. He gave me one question. How far do you want to take this? All the way, I said. Everything built toward the wedding, not mine but my sister's. A day designed so she could gloat, so my father could display her like a trophy and treat me like a cracked plate shoved into the back of the kitchen. Daniel's identity was still private. He preferred it that way, but his wealth wasn't small. And what he offered me was leverage, quiet, devastating leverage. So I let my family believe I was alone. Pathetic. Forgettable. I let them push. Mock. Laugh. Every sneer became a brick in the foundation of what I was about to do. The wedding hall doors slammed open. Daniel stepped through, Black suit cutting the light, expression carved from stone. The room stilled. My father's hand froze in midair, still gesturing at me like I was some spectacle. My sister's groom stiffened. My mother's mouth dropped open like she'd swallowed her own judgment. Daniel looked only at me, drenched, shaking, smiling, and crossed the room. He draped his jacket over my shoulders. His voice was low. "I'm sorry I'm late." Someone gasped. Someone else whispered his name. Recognition spread like wildfire. My father's face drained first. I watched the color fall out of him. A slow death, one shade at a time. "You married him?" he choked. "Yes," I said. "Months ago." The whispers turned into a storm. My sister's veil trembled. My mother staggered like her world had tilted off its axis. Daniel wasn't done. He glanced at them all, voice calm and lethal. "And for the record, I asked her to marry me. She didn't need to find a dare. It was a quiet execution. They didn't even realize they were already dead. They stopped laughing that day. They stopped calling, too. Once they learned that the house they mocked, the business they dismissed, the daughter they pushed into a fountain, now held more power than they ever would. Sometimes I replay the moment, the splash, the silence, the clapping. But what I remember most is the look on their faces when I rose from the water and smiled. Because I already knew, even then, they would drown long before I ever did.